before I get to my story, I want to tell you that my parents, Mom and Dad, were not alcoholic or drug addicts. They came from St. Louis right after the Second World War and became farmers. So I grew up on a farm in an old house that my parents renovated. We were poor. Dad would work half a day, sleep on the way up to St. Louis, do a shift up there, drive back to Herman. You know, it was, and he spent most of his time working. But we had cats and dogs and copperheads and rattles. And pools of water to jump in. It was a beautiful setting. I took the kids back there one day to see it. We got chased away because they tore the house down to just the old style, I don't know what the word is, but they didn't have siding on it. And that, my life was good. I had 6 siblings. We fought a lot. We, pinched each other, hit each other's, things like that, drove our parents crazy. But there was, it's just a normal childhood. And then I got into mid-school, moved to Westphalia, around Westphalia. It was really folk. It had a bar, a post office, a church, and that was it, I think. But I didn't like myself very much. I don't really know why. I think the reason was because of my sister who, like my mother, woke up beautiful. I'm not kidding you. They woke up beautiful and I did not. And she was beautiful, a queen of this, queen of that, cheerleader, and I tried for cheerleaders and they'd ignore me. So I don't know if that was it or if that's what I took it to be, but I believe I had the less than syndrome. When I moved I got pregnant, I got married, I left him, that was her father, before he had a chance to be a father to you. And I took my daughter and fled, and I don't know why. Dennis was okay, but I just had problems rooting myself longer than about 3 months. And so I looked at myself and I was overweight with acne and discarded by all the guys that wanted her. Big deal. This out here, so I'm going to read it. Heather was, she was a very sweet little girl who had a very terrible life. By the time that she was, a small baby and up, I was drinking daily. I was smoking pot a little. I wasn't doing serious drugs, but for me, to drink daily was probably serious. I went from job to job. I got, fired from this wonderful job. When they first started having these big trucks that went around, collected all the trash, I had a job with them, and they fired me from stealing, for stealing from the cash register. I just went from job to job, to house, get into a place, and I decided I wanted to live somewhere else. So Heather was always out there going, bing, bong, and she was a very quiet little girl that probably was very hurt, but didn't show it. One thing that stays in my mind is we had this really nice apartment in this complex that fit my needed Medicare, whatever it was fueling my recklessness. So they paid my rent, they paid my babysitter, not Medicare, but the state did. And Heather had some friends out there, and they'd go, she'd run out there and swing and play tag and have a good time with that. And I think I moved out here from Columbia for 2 or 3 weeks and decided I wasn't happy here. I gathered her up, took her to Columbia where she knew no one. I knew no one. You know, that's kind of what our life was like. I was never ever happy with what I have. I always had agitation here, and just it wasn't enough. It wasn't enough. I satisfied that by drinking. I started doing some drugs. I met a guy who was the son of the football coach at JC, and he thought it would be a good idea to bust into hold on a minute, a drugstore in the middle of the night, which they did, and they robbed him of their drugs, and they came over to my girlfriend's house. We should have got arrested just for that, but we didn't. And they went around Jeff City doing that until they got caught. And they were injecting drugs into their arms, so I tried that. I didn't like it very well. I did try it a couple times. And we also had some opiates down here that were it was a rough time for Jeff City. I tried it, didn't like it at all, thank goodness. So I went back to drinking, and Valium, and stuff like that. That was pretty much my life. You know, I got a job with the state, and I went in there right after I'd had a wreck that caused my vocal cord to be cut in half. When I came out of that, I could talk like this. Doctor came and thought he could fix it, gave me my voice back. But before he did that, there's he was the head of the office that I worked for, and he called me their broken little bird. And I got hired, and I told him that I could type, and I could, but I didn't tell him I wasn't good at typing all day long. So the girl and I switched. I started interviewing people, fell in love with the job. It's an investigative job for discrimination against things like mothers with children, black people, race or sex or things like that. Things that have lasted through now. The agency was getting going, and I was good at interviewing people. So over the years I moved up in this job who kind of looked away into the fact that I drank quite a bit, to the extent that you could smell it on me the next day. And I don't know why, but they kept promoting me to supervisor, to, that was kind of it, to intake officer, then intake officer higher up, and then investigator, and then supervisor. I love the job. I worked there for about 40 years, and that's the only reason Heather and I had a decent living. I didn't know the Lord. I thought that he probably would be disgusted about me. I was disgusted with me. And the only way I could really get through that was to have another drink. Just one today, or two, you know. And then I started blacking out. I don't know how long I did that. I had bought a house and woke up in Kansas, and I don't know how I got there, but my car was there. It's kind of scary that I drove all the way to Kansas in a blackout, and I didn't kill somebody. When I had this car wreck, it was before I was trying to get sober, and I drove into a telephone pole, knocked it out. A shard of it came through the front of the car, pierced my neck. My neck blew out. They didn't know whether my leg was crushed. They didn't know whether to deal with my throat so I could breathe or deal with my leg. They didn't know what to do, the doctors up there. I had one arm in a sling, a leg in that, stuff in my throat. And when I got out the first day, I wanted a glass of wine. Now if you think of that, it looks like insanity. And I think that's probably what I was. None of this touched me. It's like that was not the problem. The problem was the telephone pole was in the way, you know? The problem was somebody put something in there besides the amount of alcohol I had. Or, you know, maybe it's because I haven't eaten for the last 3 days. I don't know. That is the way I lived, and I didn't really know there was another way to live. I was suggested that I go to Alcoholics Anonymous, and I didn't. They're old and ugly, and you know, why would I go there? You know, if you're going to go to recovery, go where somebody's good looking. You know. Well, they put Mike behind bars. They didn't put me behind bars. They did treat me to a situation where I was sitting up in one of our little apartments, and I was reading to my daughter. I really was reading to my daughter. Hear this boom, boom, boom on the door. All these cops come in, throw us up against the wall. Do you remember that? I was thinking it probably terrorized you, terrorized me. They took me to jail because I guess they thought I was with Atkins. Took you to the people who take kids who can't raise them. You know, in this midst of this, I had people on my side. I don't know why they were on my side, but I had made friends with the sheriff. I knew a couple of cops. The judge that, you know, sentenced me to 12 months since I was a supervisor. I could sleep in jail, get up in the morning, run home, get dressed, come back, go to jail, come back, and do that for 12 months.
Work release.
Huh?
Work release.
Is that what it is? They didn't say that to me. You know, so I got to know the judge who, you know, had the case. And after they let me out, she was going through a hard time. I went to see that judge. We had become friends, and I dropped by to see him. So anyway, I went on because it appeared to me that, I don't know what it appeared to me. I really don't know what I thought. I thought that it never occurred to me that I should stop drinking. I don't know why. Every bad thing that I did was because I was taking substance into me, but it just wasn't clicking. Alcohol wasn't that bad. I worked for my dad, and you know, he had a bar, and of course I would go down there and work and stay after and have some drinks, and I don't think I got drunk then, but it just never occurred to me that there was a different way to live. And the reason I say that is because my parents weren't like that. My brother and sister, this was in the times when everybody was gathered around this, you know, these bands and making love, not war, you know. It was a time where it's like peace, man, like Yama, so peaceful, you know.
70s.
And stuff in your arm, and stuff in your head, don't really know what you're doing. There was a barrage of people dying from drugs back then, as many as there are today. With drugs, they're just Like my brother died from fentanyl, and the drugstores keep giving it to him, you know? They're not looking at the people and what is taking their life. Be that as it may, that wasn't my problem. I needed God, and I didn't know where to find him, and I didn't think that he would want me in heaven, because I couldn't stand myself, and the only way I could get away from me was to drink. And drinking led me to be an obnoxious bitch. You know, worse yet, to hurt people. Worse yet, my daughter. But it didn't stop me. Came back one day, and it had occurred to me that by this time that maybe I ought to pray. You know, I think I said something like, on one of those nights when they had said Jesus was going to come, and your computer's going to stop, and refrigerator's not going to work. And 12 o'clock comes, and Jesus hasn't come. The refrigerator's still working. And then it's the next year. And in the midst of all of that craziness, there was a moment when I thought about killing myself. Because I didn't think that I could stop drinking. And I heard someone say, choose life. I know it was the Lord. And I said, I can't. Help me. And that's all there was. I knew it was him. And I can tell you is this. I got up out of there, and I never drank again. I didn't take a mood-changing drug, but I didn't even really notice that I wasn't doing that until later on. But, and a little bit later than that, in my kitchen, these very kind people had been coming in to see me, and they'd give me the tips from that day's sermon. And I would take it and I'd go, thank you. There's a closet behind me. Throw it in the closet, slam the door, you know, and go back to drinking. That's before this happened. I went over there and I got one out. I was living next to my brother now. We were out on the porch and talking, and I put one of those discs in, and it was music. And I went in my room, dug out my grandmother's Bible, brought it out, began to read it with Kurt, with myself, every day, heard Christian music, went and got that and played that, emptied all the old nasty books about people torturing each other, things like that, threw them out, threw other regular songs out. Everything went out, but God picked up an airplane and went to another state for what's her name? Copeland? Copeland. First time I'd been there. But we flew there in a little old plane. And from that day on, everything in my life was about God. And I have learned a couple of things, that we can't be bad enough for God not to love us. Because he loves us because who he is, not who I was. And I needed to hear that. You know, I needed to hear that I was salvageable, because I didn't think I was. We get so downed out with people calling us names. We know who we are. We hate ourselves more than anybody else does. I really seriously considered offing myself for Heather's sake, because I couldn't stand myself. I asked God to give me enough time to make it up to my parents. My parents were shattered by the way I treated them. You know, it was horrible. It was like it was always waiting for me to die. Soon after I had that accident up there, you would think that I would not drive with alcohol. It didn't matter one bit. I had Chris to carry me down there, all casted out. I couldn't walk, I couldn't talk, I couldn't do anything. I want to go to the bar. Like, are you a lunatic? You know? I don't know what it is, but I could not let go of that lifestyle. I think that I did get those years to make it up to my parents. He made me the executor of his will, and I wish he hadn't. But that would show you how much I changed in those years. What I wanted to do was just to be there for them any moment they needed me. So I went to the lake with them when I really didn't want to. You know, and I'd walk with them when Mom died and go to see movies, things like that. I did love that. But God was gracious to me. My parents, my mother, my father, I wish my grandmother had saved me, but she hadn't seen me as I am today. And the Lord is guiding me, and it's the best thing. I'm so glad that I experienced being an alcoholic, because in that, I can experience the beauty of being sober. Amen. Walking with God, growing every day, and helping other people who are stuck, who maybe think that they can never give it up or never live without alcohol or never live without the drugs, you know, because we can. We can start over. And God will be there on our side, you know, correcting us when he needs to, directing us when he needs to, which is always.